Washington and Green Bay play a primetime matchup. Who buckles first? I'll let you know here on Locked On NFL.
The barbershop is open and Tony Wiggins has a chair for you. He's ready with some real NFL talk. The local experts of Locked On bring their expertise, and Wiggy is ready with his clippers and shears. Sit down and enjoy. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is factual. It is your team every day here on Locked On NFL. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On NFL podcast that you can find twice a day. That's right, twice a day, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you tap in. Today across our network, it is Thursday, so it's Crossover Thursday presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. No crossover today for me here. I am solo dolo here on the NFL show that we call The Barbershop. I've been a credentialed member of the NFL media for nearly 2 decades, and I think I have the finger on the pulse of the league enough to give you all of the things that you need, especially with the use of the local experts that we use. We use clips by all of our guys from around the Locked On NFL network, and we're going to do that today. Shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day and spend their time, their valuable time here with us. We appreciate you. And if you're not an everydayer, thank you for being here, and hopefully you'll have a reason to come back. Check out our Locked On newsletter also at lockedonpodcast.com/newsletter. Give you a lot of good reading material, and make sure you slide on over to Amazon Music. That's right, we are ad-free on Amazon Music for you to enjoy as well. Make sure you check that out. All right, I'm gonna give you a roadmap. Here's what we're going to talk about. At the end of the show, we'll talk about Matthew Stafford. His back isn't the biggest pain in the NFC West. Wow. Yep, right in the middle of the show, Big D teams lack pop early. Usually when we say Big D, we're talking about Dallas, but this time we're talking about Dallas and Detroit. I should have said the Thanksgiving crew because they always play on Thanksgiving. But we're going to start the show talking about a game that will happen tonight. It is Thursday, so that's Commanders and the Packers in prime time. That's a big one, so we'll get started with that. Two teams that people expected to be good. I think one of them got unexpectedly better right before the season started, and that was the Green Bay Packers with the addition of Michael Parsons. And Michael Parsons is no stranger to Dan Quinn, the head coach of the Washington Commanders, and he's also no stranger to Washington as a franchise because he terrorized them last year. On the first drive, he had 2 sacks in one particular game. Washington looks at things a little bit differently this year. They, of course, are led by Jayden Daniels and an offensive line where they went out and added some pieces, drafted some pieces, and they played really, really well last week against the New York Giants team. That their defensive front, their front seven particularly, is their strength, and Washington ran the ball down their throat. They also did a very good job, Washington did, at stopping the New York Giants in the red zone. That's going to be critical. You're going to have to hold the Packers tonight on the road to field goals. Here's my man David Harrison to let you know what Washington's plan is and how they actually played the other day when they were in those situations, and then I'll come back and discuss whether or not they can do it against Green Bay.
I mean, 0 touchdowns on multiple red zone trips, 13 total plays ran inside the 10-yard line by the New York Giants, and they only came away with 6 points. That is an incredibly impressive defensive performance by the Washington Commanders defense. Yes, granted, against an offense that is not expected to be one of the top tier in the league. I get it, but we're just talking about this game in a nutshell. Can't apologize for the opponents that you play. You dominate the opponent you play every week, you're going to win a lot of games.
You absolutely cannot apologize for the opponents that you play every day. But I remind everyone, this is the NFL, and not only is it the NFL where all of these guys can beat you on any given Sunday, it's the beginning of the year. So maybe Washington needs a little bit of time to make sure that some of their key parts with their defense, Javon Kinlaw, and a lot of the new additions that they had are going to mesh well together and blend well together. A lot of these teams don't play a whole bunch of their starters in the preseason. So kudos to Washington for doing what they needed to do. But I'm not going to take them in this game. Even though I love Jayden Daniels, I love their makeup, and this is going to be a stiff test, more of a stiff test than they had last week against the Giants, going up to Lambeau on a short week of practice against a team that's hot, against a defense that looked outstanding last week in their opener. Listen to my man Peter Bukowski talk about the things that must happen for Green Bay to be successful.
Thursday night against the Washington Commanders, the Green Bay Packers have to live the Matt LaFleur ethos, all gas, no break. I'm Peter Bukowski from Locked On Packers with the keys to victory for a Thursday night NFC contender showdown. Green Bay gets this monster win. How do you keep it going? Well, you keep your foot on the gas pedal. Don't get any less aggressive on defense. Continue to attack Jayden Daniels, even if that can create an explosive here or there. Stay in your identity to attack. And that means you have to tackle. You have to tackle the same way you did against Detroit, where it was swarms of green and gold defenders to the ball carrier every time. 19 touches for Jahmyr Gibbs, 50 yards. That is spectacular defense. And then Thursday night, early in the season, the turnovers will kill you. You have to be safe with the football. That doesn't mean don't take your chances down the field. The Packers did an excellent job of balancing that against the Detroit Lions, but turnovers and discipline with the penalties. The Commanders committed a dozen penalties in week 1. The Packers, 0 offensive penalties. You play a disciplined game like you did in week 1. Let the Commanders beat themselves. These Thursday nights are a little crazy, and you'll come out 2-0.
There you go. Peter Bukowski giving you the blueprint for the Green Bay Packers, saying what they have to do to go out and beat the Washington Commanders. I'll say this, and I'll be very, very careful, because I do think Detroit is a good team. I think Washington presents some different types of challenges. When when you see Washington, just like you saw Amon-Ra St. Brown last week, okay, that's who Terry McLaurin and both Deebo Samuel are from a mentality standpoint. Washington sort of does it with a running back by committee. And the question for them is, are they going to stop the run and be able to run? The question for Green Bay is, they got all these pass rushers. Can they stop the run? They did it last week. I think Washington presents a little bit more of a challenge because Jared Goff is a bit of a statue, whereas Jayden Daniels is not. The use of the tight end, Zach Ertz, may come into play in a big way in this game. So we're going to really, really take a look out for that. I just think Green Bay's on a high right now, man. They're starting the year off against Washington and Detroit, 2 games that might be the 2 toughest games any team has to play all season, back to back. And they're doing it right away, but they do get them both at home. They won last week. I'm looking forward to Washington winning again this week. I'm Green Bay winning again this week. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be highly contested. And I think both teams, both fan bases will feel good about both teams. Obviously, you never feel good. There's no moral victories when you lose, but you won't leave this game thinking, okay, we're out of our league. I think it's going to be highly entertaining, and I am absolutely looking forward to it. We mentioned Green Bay's opponent last week, Detroit. And another team, Dallas, that is the rival of Washington. Well, they struggled last week mightily. What's wrong with them? I'll tell you in just a second here on Locked On NFL. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. With more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes, sweat, all the details, Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make every day seem like a drive, and everyday drives feel like anything but routine. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard and every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And today's show is sponsored and brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and turn up with 5 Hour Energy, man. Transfusion. This great ginger and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. That's right. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. The wildest thing I've ever done is I sank a hole-in-one with a pitching wedge from about 60 yards out, but I also pulled my hamstring. Crazy. I should have had 5 Hour Energy. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of a 5 Hour Energy drink transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now, you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the United States of America. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st of 2025. Moving and grooving here, solo dolo, as we continue with the barbershop here on Locked On NFL. You can check out Tyler Rowland each and every morning. That's right. The madman will wake you up like a double shot of espresso, and then I'll slide through every day just like this. Normally I'm with somebody else, but today I had to move by myself and here at the barbershop. So we'll give you that each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure you tap in wherever you get your podcast. Dallas and Detroit, two teams that struggled last week in different ways. Dallas struggled in the first half, got it together in the second half. Detroit never really got going. A lot of it had to do with the offensive line that we are customarily used to seeing move people. Listen to Matt Derry from Locked On Lions explain what happened.
Locked On Bears. The Lions just have to do a better job up front. It's as simple as that. The offensive line played a horrific game. They were bad. And the defensive line wasn't much better. So win up front, get back to the basics. I think Robert brought up some good points about first games for Glasgow back at center for years, for the two coordinators. I think they laid an egg in week one. They did not get it done and did not play well at all. But I think you're going to see a turnaround on Sunday against the Bears and better focus, better communication, like Dan Campbell said, and just they've got one under their belt.
One of the fears I had about Detroit coming into this season was that it's not that they lost their OC Ben Johnson. It's not that they lost their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. It's not that they lost a pass game coordinator on offense. It's not even that they lost and changed around some of the players, including Frank Ragnow retiring suddenly. It's just that all of those things happen at one time. And even with John Morton coming back to run the offense, and he was there when they initially got it going, but then he left, it just seems like something was a little bit off. They didn't look like a team biting kneecaps the other day. They didn't look like a team that was scraping and scratching and flying around like those Dan Campbell teams have looked over the last, I would say, 3 years, because even the 2 years ago, before they actually started making playoff runs, when they missed the playoffs, they were still playing hard, and you was just thinking like, oh man, we're going to have to deal with this for the next 5-6 years. And this is the one thing that happens a lot with teams. It happened to the 49ers, and we'll talk about them later. They start losing all of their pieces and parts and their coaches and a part of their DNA before they ever really get to win anything. The 49ers, as good as they've been over the last, it seems like over the last 10 years, they've missed the playoffs half of those times. And now they're starting to fall off a little bit. They lost a lot of coaches to a whole bunch of teams. I think the only team that has consistently lost coaches but still keep thriving are the Rams for some reason. It's just too many moving parts right now for Detroit. And I'm going to tell you right now, they better watch out, because Ben Johnson knows everything about them, and he's coming in there and they're hungry. They didn't play well last week. And there's some parts of that Bears team that are improved enough that will give them a little bit of a hard time. So we'll have to continue to watch and monitor Detroit as we move forward. I know it's one brother going to hit me up. He goes like, man, come on, man, it's just one game. Yeah, you're right. It is one game. But if it turns into two, then I'm going to come back here and say the same thing about Detroit. Now, the other team that plays on Thanksgiving all the time, that plays in a city begins with the letter D, that is the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't play well early, played better in the second half. Dak, statistically, it didn't look real good for him, but he had a lot of drops, most of them by CeeDee Lamb. And then now I hear a little bit of this stuff talking about George Pickens was unhappy and pouting a little bit. I saw that on TV this morning. I'm like, oh, brother, here we go with the Cowboys. But there was some things that you could still take away and say, okay, they've improved. Of course, losing Michael Parsons doesn't help them. They're going to have to generate some pass rush. What is going on with Big D? Let's check the temperature and see what the thermostat says by locking in with Landon McCool and Marcus Mosher of Locked On Cowboys.
The offense has to become more consistent. Like, they were fantastic in the first half. They didn't score a point in the second half. And I understand, like, you had a fumble, the rain delay threw some things off. Okay, whatever. That's one game. That can't be the way that the season goes. You can't be just where they're really good in one half and then only okay in another half. They're going to have to be consistently good because the defense is going to be very up and down. Like, the defense might have some games where they look good, they get some stops. They might have some other where they don't.
Well, the defense is specifically, where it feels like the growth needs to happen. And maybe on the offense, the offensive line specifically needs, those are the two spots, the defense as a whole and the offensive line, that you are hoping that with time they gel, they grow.
The offense played well in the first half. The defense didn't. And then it flip-flopped. So it was like 21-20 at halftime. And then there was only like a couple of field goals in the second half by both teams. So while I said that the Dallas Cowboys defense, that the Cowboys didn't play well in the first half, their offense played well in the first half. Their defense didn't play well. And then in the second half, the defense got better and the offense struggled. But they're right. They're spot on. They have to be more consistent. They have to play better complementary football. And you have to put those two things together, right? When the offense is playing well, you want the defense to play well, also at least play it in a complementary fashion. See, they would have had a bigger lead had the defense played better in the first half, and then maybe they could have held on and created something if they wouldn't have had those drops in the second half, and they could have still gotten out with a victory. But we will see this week. That's another team that we need to make sure that we keep our eye on, the Dallas Cowboys, moving forward, and monitor that George Pickens situation to see if that thing's going to turn into something. Now, we're going to go into the NFC West a little bit. And I did this because I saw something on social media where someone says, imagine trolling Matthew Stafford and the Rams all off season about his back, and then your quarterback gets a back injury. So I looked it up, and they're talking about Brock Purdy, who might be a long shot to play this week. They're already missing a couple of people. We'll discuss them and their short and long-term vision. And then we'll talk about the Rams, too, in just a second here on Locked On NFL. It's all about FanDuel, man. It is time. The season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with can't-miss offers. Listen to this. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because you can catch them early. You can get the spread the way you want it prior to the game starting. If you want to wait and hang around and see how it starts, then you get a little bit of a different number. And then if you want to wait till the end and go for, some bigger upsets, you can do that too. FanDuel allows you to jump in whenever you can. It makes the game more exciting whether you're watching your team or not. Just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup is enough. It's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy to your Sunday. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by using and visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, man. Third segment here on Locked On NFL, where it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. I'm Tony Wiggins, the host of the Barbershop edition of Locked On NFL. I love divisional rivalries and the rhetoric and all of this stuff that goes into it. And we all know the Rams are the team to beat in the NFC West. They won a very, very close, low-scoring game, 14-9, to versus the Houston Texans the other day. So it's really, really hard for me to sit here and say whether or not they're going to be okay offensively with their new additions. Of course, Devontae Adams. I think they will be, and maybe the Texans defense was just that good, but I was shocked and surprised by how well the Rams defense actually played. But so far, Matthew Stafford, so good. Here's the guys from Locked On Rams.
My back, I feel great, excited that I came out of it the way I did, and looking forward to having a good week of practice. So this is absolute music to our ears, Rams fans, to hear him feel that good after his first game. Could not be more excited about the potential of Matthew Stafford and his team now.
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, this is the best possible outcome.
It is a good outcome. It's good to know that back injuries linger, especially for older guys. And Matthew Stafford is on the other side of 35 at a quarterback position where he's going to get hit at some point several times a game. And then sometimes with a back injury, it's not about even getting hit. It's about sudden moves that you have to make trying to avoid being tackled or avoid being hit, contorting your body certain ways to throw the ball. So it's a good thing that they came out of it. I'm just wondering if the low score was indicative of them making sure that they were a run-first team just to keep him healthy for the rest of the season. And as they play better teams, these things won't really, really help them or allow them to do that. If somebody scores enough points where they put enough pressure on them, and then the Rams are going to have to try to match them, well, that's going to be very, very critical to try to maneuver, especially when you consider and think about the fact that if they were trying to protect Matt Stafford, or is it something that gets better as time goes along? If time goes along, if his back improves and the time goes along and they're more comfortable, look, we're taking baby steps here. If we don't have to throw it a lot, we won't. If we get into a situation, we will. But let's play complementary football and protect our asset until we can get into those big games where we do have to let it rip. And it's just about him being healthy and going out there. The Rams got a shot, man, especially with their defense looking the way that they look, because that was a big, big question coming into the game. The 49ers had a boatload of questions. They got top heavy. They're a top heavy team. I think they had 4 or 5 players, maybe even 6 guys in the top 100s that were done. I think they had them in the Locked On NFL Top 100 as well as others that are out there. But a lot of those guys are old. Christian McCaffrey had 30-some-odd touches last week, and he's coming off of an injury. George Kittle will be out with a hamstring. Juwan Jennings is now banged up, so they had to go out and get some wide receiver help. But now their quarterback is also banged up and a long shot to play because of a back injury. So who's going to be throwing the ball to their new wide receiver, who we'll introduce you to right now? Here's Locked On 49ers.
Max value of $5 million on a 1-year deal for wide receiver Kendrick Bourne coming back home to the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm excited, man, to see this guy come into the league and see the professional that he has become and have an opportunity to watch him in that red and gold again. It just brings excitement to me. And, it brings, some experience to the wide receiver room for the 49ers.
Yep, it does bring experience. The question is, though, who's throwing that experienced wide receiver the ball? And is it going to be good enough? The 49ers got away with it last week, man. They won a very, very close game. But it's going to be extremely difficult, in my opinion, for them to keep this up with all of these injuries, unless they just hit gold. And last year they did now in the draft. They drafted extremely well. But that's going to have to happen again for them to be able to be successful. Mac Jones is going to be their quarterback. Mac Jones, of course, was from Jacksonville, where I live. Saw him play in high school at Alabama. And then last year with the Jaguars. Here's the thing about that. That's who everyone thought they wanted to draft the year they traded up all those draft choices and drafted Trey Lance. Cost them three. Now think about it. Philly moved back and took Devontae Smith. 49ers could kind of use him right now. It doesn't mean that that's who they would have taken, but it does give you a glimpse into how and where this franchise is right now. Injuries, they're top heavy. They're dependent on a lot of players who are older and a lot of players who are extremely younger. They just, in my opinion, don't have the talent right in the middle of that team. And then they can't afford now to have their quarterback hurt because he takes up a lot of money. He was on a rookie deal before, but now Brock Purdy is actually in his extension. It's going to be very, very difficult, like I said on yesterday's show, for them to maintain their excellence with less resources because of how much they're paying their quarterback. All right, man, solo dolo today. I'll be here tomorrow with my man Matt Williamson as we will preview all of the games on Friday for this entire weekend, and then take a look back at the action that will happen tonight. Tomorrow it will already have happened, and we'll do a review of the Packers and the Commanders. All right, you guys take care of yourself. Make sure you check us out on Locked On NFL twice a day and all around the Locked On Podcast Network. We do value your time, 25 and a half to 26 minutes today. We appreciate you joining us, and thank you very, very much, and we'll see you next time.